Good afternoon, everyone. First thing I want to announce is this presentation has no end, but I will get you out on time. So I work in the area of innovation. One of the challenges of a speaker is going, I have so many things I want to share, but there's not enough time. I've learnt the fewer things I share, but if I actually land them, I'm better off. So I'm not going to get to the end of the presentation. I don't mind about that. Wherever we end, we end. Enough of me talking. This will fill in the next 20 minutes. I want you to turn to the person next to you. Before you do that, can I see an honest show of hands? Who is sitting next to a stranger, someone they weren't sitting next to before the break? You have gone out of your way to make sure you expand your thinking by sitting next to a stranger. Everyone look around and put your hands up, honest answer. Okay. I'll just pause you there so I can basically finish the presentation now. What are you going to do after lunch? What's the critical thing you've learned? You're here to expand your thinking. Just because I happen to have a mic and some slides doesn't mean I know more than the other people in the room. Get out of your comfort zone. Culture and rules and beliefs are important, but it comes down to you as individuals. Same thing applies. If you sit at your desk and go, the organisation needs to change, that's wrong. You're part of that organisation. You need to drive that change yourself. So, have a chat to that person who may or may not be a stranger and answer this question. It's like a pub quiz. There's a meat pack involved. How far away is Mars? Go for it. Okay, I'm going to pause you there, and just as well I might. When I'm giving a presentation, this is not about me giving a presentation, this is about you leading your team. What did I do there? I handed control over. Which had more energy, me presenting at you or you talking? Think about how do you work with your teams. Now, how many people went online in that time? You're thinking you're clever, but here's the beauty. So I do a lot of work at the edge in terms of people versus robots. We may not get into the detail of it. Robots can't help you because the human beings need to figure out the right question first. What's missing from this question? Yeah, what time of year? How far away from what, right? But I'll give you the answer anyway. So have a look at this. Now, when I play videos for you, and we're having a chat before, I've got a 23-minute long clip in here. I was severely tempted just to play it and go have a coffee. I'm only going to play the first minute. The longest ones are 90 seconds. We'll make this presentation freely available. All of the links are clickable to watch the full thing. Have a look at this, all 1 minute of it.
How far away is Mars?
Well, it's 141 million miles from the sun, so pretty far.
Why is it red?
Because its surface is made of iron oxide.
Why do they call it Mars?
Well, it was named after the Roman god of war.
You're so smart, Dad.
Did I ever tell you about Jupiter?
Couple of serious points. Last year, my 14-year-old son, true story, the title of his school speech was how hard it was on his parents' day because they didn't have Google. Another important fact for you. 3 weeks ago, I was travelling with New Zealand Trade and Enterprise through New York looking at other innovative businesses. We went through 15 businesses in 4 days. One of those companies was Google. The role of a futurist is to be provocative to them. I said to them, we've come here to see the future. You're a 17-year-old business, which I knew because I Googled them while they were talking to us. What can you tell us about the future? So one of the points I want to make here is what I've just played for you isn't the future. That's a 3-year-old clip. The future is not digital, the future is not mobile. I work in those spaces, right? That shift is well underway. It began 5 years ago. Your organisation is still struggling, right, about how to adapt, because as Sean's just highlighted, it takes time to adapt. But if you're not looking ahead to say what comes next, you'll get that bit sorted, and then you'll go, whoa, overnight change has happened again. How long does overnight change take to play out? About 10 years. Why 10 years? What changes in that time? Look at this room, think about where you're in. It's a generational shift. I once asked a company, how far away is the next generation to entering your business? And they said about 5 years. I said, 5 years? I said, have you employed any graduates? So that shift is happening all the time. But the power is held by people living in old ways, right? So how do you release that power faster? How do you figure out what are signals of the future and what's noise to safely ignore? One of the things that I've learned as a futurist is the best way to predict the future is to be the people inventing it. So I've got a team right now running live prototypes with real human beings on an idea that when I left the room, I went, whoa, that's pretty edgy. It'll be interesting to see what it's like when I come back. Are you running live experiments that scare you within your business? First said by Alan Curtis Kay, in at Apple, developing tablets well before the iPad. Now, of all the things you could watch, this from about 2 years ago is well worth a watch. It's 23 minutes long. Anyone in the room time poor? Just to check. Okay, I used to think I was, and then I did a quick calculation. So just to see who's wealthier than me, who's got more than 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, 365 a bit days a year. Key is you are allocating your time wrong. A lot of the things I'm telling you, you already know. Again, as Sean highlighted, it's not the idea, it's the action. Anyone ever been in a meeting that lasts for an hour or more? Is your habit as a leader to go into the room and say, for the first 10 minutes, I'm going to get clear on the objective of why we're here. Not the agenda, but I'm going to write the objective up, right? Because that's what strategy is about, know where you're heading. Then get out of the room for 20 minutes. Go look online, go talk to someone you don't know, do some reflective thinking. Then the last 30 minutes, we're going to make a lot more out of it than sitting in a room for an hour talking about the thoughts that were already in our head. You don't have to take just a day away. This is critical to do this, but apply this behaviour. So this clip here, Ericsson travelled around the world talking to a number of influential thinkers. Anyone ever watched television before? Okay, I do work for media companies because it's a changing space. Don't let them know I said this. Replace your favourite half-hour show with watching something like this. Your life will not end, but your organisation will move forward faster. First 90 seconds, have a watch of this. Ericsson travelling the world talking to influential thinkers.
During the course of a year, we traveled the globe to interview top thinkers to gather their predictions regarding our world in 2020. Their topics covered all aspects of life, including communication, female empowerment, the health of our planet, and the future for young people. While the visions might differ, one thing's clear: the newfound possibilities to communicate and collaborate on a deeper level is changing our society as we speak.
Every generation since the Greeks have felt that things have never changed so fast. They've never witnessed such blinding innovation. The difference is this time it may be true.
It's very easy to find engineers and scientists who can tell you about what the future could be. They know very well what can be done technologically and scientifically. The problem is that what can be done, what's technologically feasible, is not necessarily economically profitable or socially acceptable. So in fact, to know what technology can do does not necessarily tell us what the future is going to be like. The way we know is to combine what technology can do with how society will shape it.
Hope you're paying close attention. What were those 3 factors? Shout them out. Social acceptability, brilliant. What else? Profitability, what else? Feasibility. So we've got desirability, viability, feasibility. With the help of your good friend Venn, put them in 3 circles, that's where you land innovation. That desirability, that human social acceptability, that's the slowest moving of all of them. So you can see the future. So what you do is start to go, which are signals of the future, which are just people slow being to respond. Give you a great example. Past 5 years, the number of conversations around social media. Just last year, I heard a major corporate say they'd shut down their internal private social media because the leaders had a look at the conversations there, and there were lots of inane conversations with no purpose or direction. My point to them is, those conversations are happening already, it's just you can see them now, you think, by not seeing them, right? When you start to apply that thinking, when I do futurist work, and same thing for the team here, people invent things that they think are new, but they're actually inventing the future that's already around them. People go, it'd be amazing if when you walk past a billboard it knew you were there based on your phone and didn't ad just for you. You go, awesome idea. It's been in labs for the past 4 years, but with that knowledge, what could we do? So this is why the team's encouraging you to stretch your thinking. Look at what's out in the world now. So instead of creating the future now, you create what comes next. But in order as a thought leader to do that, you have to have a view of what kind of world do you want to create. You have to have a long-term view of that future beyond. We're talking about internal communications within organisations. I find this quite a useful statistic. My question to you is, which was invented first, email or the lava lamp? Look at what your mind's doing. Right? Answer is, same time, both in the late 60s. Is email going to change? This is what I've learned as a futurist. To understand the future, just look to the past. Imagine I'm asking you, are stone tablets going to change? And I'm going, I've got the future, it's called paper. And you're going, it'll never work, it's flimsy, it'll burn, it's not long lasting, right? So the question isn't will email shift, it's what will it shift to next, and what do you need to start reprogramming your personal habits to use and your team? I'm not going to talk to you about social media because, again, that's the present. That trend's underway. How do I know that? How many people use Facebook in the world? Give or take 100 million. What's that stat? What do you reckon?
1.55 billion.
Great. I would have gone 1.4, but I think you're more up to date than me, right? So give or take 100 million, I'm with you, right? How many people in New Zealand? Okay, which is a better reflection of where society's at, right? So if you don't believe me, first 1 minute of how Tesco, 320,000 employees, uses social media. This is from March of this year.
The Social Organisation programme at Tesco is our way of connecting 320,000 colleagues across the UK, and our biggest goal is how can we make a big business feel smaller. So Yammer is our opportunity to create a community across Tesco where people can celebrate success, share learning and find answers to questions that might be getting in the way of them doing their job. We're very aware that people are increasingly using social media as part of their day-to-day life, so it would feel very natural that they work like they live. We really want people to live and work in the same way.
You get the opportunity to show what you've done to other stores and they get to show you what they've done. If I do a fish open, then I'll show sort of ways I've displayed certain fish and I get that feedback from them as well, so it's really helped me improve my job.
I'm going to stop it there. This isn't about fish. The level keeps stepping up, right? Now, the point I was thinking of there, you don't see the future in peer-reviewed articles for the very same reason. The speed to run something, to get enough results, to get people to review it, to then share it out so other people can see it, years. I'm not saying this isn't where the change is happening, but it's directly interfacing with the students who are hacking things on the edges, possibly that their lecturers don't agree with because they've got different viewpoints, is where you get the signals of the future. Critical design thinking principle, critical innovation principle, where do you need to look on the bell graph? To the edges. Problem is, you might be going, oh, we need to look at the front edge. When you have a new idea, you don't know, is it brilliant or is it dopey? You just know you need to look at the edges. And that's central to Steve Jobs and Johnny Ive of Apple's thinking. They didn't know whether the ideas were brilliant or dopey. You only saw the brilliant ones, right? Where does your business push you? Where does your organisation push you? Oh, we need to help the most people. We need to get the most money. We need to go in the middle. The future lives on the edges. So this is the slide I wanted to land. Got another 5 minutes, so we'll see how we go. Critical megatrend, Simplexity. To simplexify something is different than to simplify it. Simplify, you get rid of the complexity. You go, let's not have all the back-end processing, that's all sounding a bit tricky. What you do is you do all that back-end processing and you go, oh, let's have a really complex interface because it's a really complex product. Simplexity says the users, our public, don't need to deal with all that complexity. We hide that behind the scenes, we make the experience simple. Very difficult to do. Throughout time, and again, it was great the way that Sean called out, these things are timeless principles, a lot of them happening in really new ways. So Pascal saying, sorry I wrote such a long letter, I didn't have time to write a shorter one. Same principle. Have a look at that. How do you feel about that? Now we're starting to look at the edges of the future. How do you feel? Intrigued? Cool. Any other emotions? What am I doing by asking this question? What am I most interested in? Where society's at. Yeah? I know what the technology can do. I don't know. First time I put this image in front of people. This is data. I am gathering early data. Don't think data is numbers and charts. Data is running experiments and getting feedback. Anyone think of your children? Is this the world you want your children to grow up in? Did I just shift your thinking? Because I said, what do you think of that? Oh, intrigued. Oh, we quite like it. Shift the question, ask the right question, you get a different response. What do you think your kids think about it? Who's right? They are? So again, be honest with yourself. Are you going, some of you, they are, no, they're wrong. Society's going backwards. Just think of when we had stone, someone had this newfangled paper, books. We need to burn the books, yeah? At this point, I was going to burn books, but I thought that was a bit extreme. Here's kids. Different version of virtual reality, yeah? Google product, Google Cardboard, real product, version 2 already, 2 years old. How do you do virtual reality? Fold up a bit of cardboard, slot your phone in, download an app. What does version 2 enable the schools to do? Have a look at this. The teacher has an iPad. She controls where she's going to take the class. Take your students school places that school buses can't.
You could pick anywhere in the world that you'd want to go. Where would you want to go?
I would like to go to the moon.
Thailand,
Ancient Greece.
India,
to Nigeria, my homeland.
One or maybe all of the 7 wonders of the world. When you explore different places, you have the chance to actually learn something new.
You want to be able to show the kids that there's something outside of your community that you could go to and learn from, and that there's other places you can visit.
All right, so let's do our objective and we'll talk about the lesson for today.
We're going to take a field trip to Verona, Italy to see the place where Romeo and Juliet lived.
I'm going to take you on this field trip under the water. Okay, you guys ready? Pick up your devices
and look in your cardboard.
What is that?
I see a shark.
Whoa!
It allowed us to go somewhere we wouldn't normally be able to go.
Are we in China?
This is the Great Wall of China.
We got to see the place itself so we could actually understand what she was talking about.
How long would it take to walk the length of the Great Wall of China? So much more enriching than just showing them a picture or just having them read about it.
This device can actually make us go to places that we've never been before.
It brings the lesson to you.
You have to see it for yourself to believe it.
There's so much other places to see, so you know that it's never going to end.
Feeling a bit more optimistic about the future? Think of what's happening in the world right now. The lack of understanding of different cultures, these are the kind of things that can shift it. So in that first version, what I want to leave you with is, you judge the world through your own framework. To see the future, I as a futurist can't do it. I talk to my children, I look at other ways of working and try and let my thought patterns go. Closing slide. Sean talked about the importance of ideas and action. If you walk away with that as an idea, it's not going to shift anything. I ran a strategy session, major organisation responsible for community health across New Zealand. For the first 2 hours, I had the wise adults in the room developing the strategy for the country. Then I looked out the window and I said, a bus has just turned up. Everyone out of the room, and onto the bus. Anyone ever watched 7 Days before? Look at the world around you and take ideas and apply them. We drove them to the primary school. Just as right now I'm really nervous about the experiment I'm going back to, I thought this could go horribly wrong. I had organised for a group of children to draw what they saw the future of New Zealand looking like. If adults walked into the room and the kids wouldn't talk to them, this wasn't going to be good. The only way you know is by taking the risk and doing it for real. When the bus turned up, the kids were lined up outside and they literally ran up and grabbed the adults' hands, took them into the classroom and described what the communities would be like. Critical finding, yes, the future will have hoverboards, Rainbow's End will be in Hamilton, and there's lollipops everywhere, okay? So really important to go, first of all, that's really trivial. What you have to actually do is pause on those things and go, why and what's the true meaning? But there's dentists everywhere. Multiple children doing multiple pictures put dentists everywhere. I could not have predicted that. Yeah. When we talked to them about why, they said because health is really important. But they cited the dentists in the malls. This healthcare organisation, mental health, had never thought, should we be in the malls? They thought we should be off in quiet places off to the side. Fundamentally shifted their thinking. Thank you very much for your time. Soak it all up and talk to strangers. Cheers.